Yes! Off of work. Done kissing heinies and massaging temples. Ready to do something fun. You can tell I'm here in the shop, but what you don't know is that I've built a time machine and we're gonna take a trip back in time and we're gonna go drag racing. Let's watch the show intro so you get an overview of everything we do here at my car shop, and I'll meet you in 30 seconds on the other side and we're gonna have some nostalgic fun. I'm Mike, and this is my car's shop.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is my car's shop.
Imagine, if you will, a time of innocence. A time when the world was a simpler place. A time when the greatest stress in life was whether or not I was going to be able to scrape together enough cash to buy some racing fuel. It was a much simpler world. It was a much simpler time. It was 1994, and here we go to Ubly, Michigan, to Ugly Drag Strip, to run my 1973 340 Duster. I'll tell you a little bit more about the car a little later, but let's do some burnouts, do some hole shots, and run the strip. And I'll explain a little bit about what's going on as this video is going on. Hope you enjoy this. I've been looking for this footage for a long time. I finally got it digitized, and I get to share it with you today. Yeah! And of course we spun all the way through first gear, all the way through second gear, and terrible run for the first pass. Really tried to get the tires a lot hotter this time, but it still didn't do any good. The car really broke loose hard coming out of the hole, and then really spun hard in second gear down the middle of the track. Also, like an idiot, I kept forgetting to roll up my window, so they had to keep reminding me. Such is life. And of course, again, I forgot to roll up my window. However, this was the best pass of the day. I ran a 14:48, somewhere in the mid to high 90s. I was kind of taking it easy out of the hole and made her work. No spinning mid-track this time. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture of the time tower. Now this one you can hear I've got the timing back way down, and I was just trying to see if I could get the car to hook better. Once again, the moron forgets to close his window. The track also recommended that I put my helmet on because I really was starting to pick up ET at that point. big hard spin mid-track. You can really hear that I've got the timing backed way down on it. Just again, trying to see if I could get it to hook and get a better 60-foot time. Listen to that long slipping tires in second gear there. Even with the timing backed way down, that car just liked to spin the tires. And it was the tires, totally the tires, and I know that. I later put a good set of sticky tires on the back. Here I am in the pits just playing with the timing. I think I was bringing the timing back up a little bit more reasonably. And probably one more pass for the day here, and I was going to call it quits. At this point, my camera guy figured out there was a zoom on the camera, so we got a little zoom going on. And this was a pretty good pass here, really backed out of it. But you'll see the time on the clock. 1474 at 90.85. So the timing was back up a little bit. I was short shifting it, really took it easy out of the hole, and I think that was maybe my second best pass of the day. So the car had a lot more potential, and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Just rolling back into the pits here to put it back on the trailer and call it a day. I purchased that car sometime in 1992 to 1993, maybe. The footage that you see probably was my first time at the track with that car. It went back to the track several times, and in fact, I believe the last time I actually drove the car was on the track when I blew the clutch and we pushed it up on the trailer and I sold it right after that. Not sure what year that was, probably 1996, maybe? Not sure, I'd have to think about that. But let me tell you a little bit about the car. It was a 340, 10.5 to 1 pistons. It had 284 cam in it. Nope, sorry, that did not have the 284 cam in it at that time. It actually had a stock 340 cam in it. Tom Hoover, yes, Tom Hoover, Hemi Tom Hoover. If you've watched my channel for a while, you know that Tom Hoover and I were friends. And also I worked for Tom Hoover until he retired. He worked for Orbital Fuel Injection Systems, and I was a technician and worked in the development lab for Tom for a couple of years before he retired. Anyway, Tom used to come into my lab a lot, and we would talk about engines and engine dynamics and building engines and so forth, and he knew I was putting together this 340. The 340 block that I had in this car was actually cracked. I still have it. I'm not sure I could show it to you. But when I first met Tom, I was actually working in the dealership, Dodge dealership, as a mechanic, and I was welding the valley pan on the block because it had frozen and cracked. And there was about 4 cracks in the valley pan that long. I was using nickel rod. I drilled it about every inch, stitch welded it together, ground it down. I was in that process, welding it again, when Tom happened to come into the dealership. I knew who he was at this point. And he was very curious to see what I was doing and wanted to know progress on the car. Well, time goes forward, and I ended up quitting working at the dealership. Tom hired me to work as a fuel injection technician for the Orbital Corporation that he was the chief engineer of at the time. And so he would come into my lab, and we would share stories and so forth. He would ask me about the 340 project. And in the process of all of that, one of the things he told me was, since I was using the stock 10.5 to 1 pistons, to put them on the rods backwards, because it reduced wrist pin friction and you get a little bit more horsepower out of the engine. Of course, we know that the pistons don't last as long that way, but that's how I built the engine, and I was able to take Tom for a ride in that car, and he was quite impressed. That was previous to this footage that you just watched. So this motor was a little bit over 300 horse, manual, 3-speed, had a high performance clutch in it, 355, Posi unit wasn't the best, but it had pretty low profile tires on the back. So you'll notice I was really struggling to get the car to hook out of the hole. The best pass I made on that day was a 1448 at 95, 98. And when Tom saw the time slips I showed him, he said it was definitely a 12-second, high 12-second, low 13-second car that just happened to be running in the 14s. And that's very obvious. I was spinning the tires like crazy, could hardly get the car to hook, had to back the timing down some to try to get it to hook. The car just pulled like crazy, lots of miles per hour. I just couldn't get a good 60-foot time. So that's a little bit about that car. I ended up selling that car. I got the motor back. I put that motor in another 68 Dart that I had, and still have the motor. Sold that 68 Dart. Had that 340 for a while actually in a 4-wheel drive truck, and then I took it out of that and put it in a beautiful 85 2-wheel drive truck that I had. Had a little bigger cam in it. Actually ran that at the track. I don't think I have any video of that. I'll see if I can find a picture of that truck to put in here though. That ran high 16s, low 17s in the quarter mile with that 340 in it with a single wheel, open rear end. And lo and behold, I kept making more and more power with that motor. And of course, as inevitable, one of those pistons finally just broke. That's where that 340 sits today with a broken piston in the back room. Someday I'll get around to it. Now, coming next is some old footage. Probably, Brad, you can answer when this was. This was after 2004, I believe. It might have been even after that. I can tell because the first few years I drove the GTS, it had dogfish hubcaps on the front with small bolt pattern steel wheels. In this video that you're going to watch now, it does have the wheels, the aluminum wheels that's on the car right now. And for the life of me, I can't think of the name of them, but you guys know what they are. So I know that it was on the second motor. This is the nitrous motor, and we were out just actually to shoot video of doing a bunch of burnouts. So I hope you enjoy this vintage footage also from sometime in the early to mid 2000s. We'll catch you on the flip side after this. I don't know that I have any other footage from back in the day. I tried to keep it all on one VHS tape in my camcorder and just film stuff. There's a whole bunch of ugly drag racing stuff. I know there was some footage of my buddy Jim's altered dragster, but that was on a different tape that I gave to him. I'm not sure I have any footage from any other times at the track, but I thought I'd share this with you. I thought you'd get a kick out of it from some footage from, you know, what is that, 25 years ago? And way back in the day when I was hot and heavy into wanting to be at the drag strip. It's interesting now that I'm in my mid-50s. I just don't really have that much interest in going anymore. I've been there, I've done that. I just really enjoy building the cars. I love taking them out and ripping up and down the road with them, and of course taking them to my personal private drag strip. But to actually take the car to the track and go through all of that, it just doesn't have the appeal that it had 30 years ago. So 20 years ago, whatever that is. I'm terrible with maths, you know that. So I hope you enjoyed this. If I can find any other old vintage footage, I will certainly share it with you. And we'll get this put together and get it out there to you real soon. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that. We're on Instagram and Facebook /MyCarShop. Hit that like button down there on the bottom. Make a comment for me and for the rest of the channel about what you enjoyed about this vintage footage from the 90s. Thanks for being here, guys and gals. I'm trying to be politically correct. And as always, rock on!